Oh, wow. Good evening, everybody. It is 5:55 Pacific Standard Time. I am Donovan Sadiq, the recovering Democrat, and I'm going to give you guys a quick update uh, on the elections last night, especially in regard to the Sheila Jackson Lee. She was beat by over 10,000 votes. Sheila Jackson Lee and Whitmer are now headed to a runoff. That is a definite signal to the Democratic Party and members of the CBC. Um, Sheila Jackson Lee, 28 years in Congress, 28 years, 14 terms, and she could not outright beat Whitmer, who is I believe, a state senator or whatever they call it in Texas. And she was beaten by almost 10 points in that election. But do me a favor, you guys hit the like, share, and subscribe button. I'm Donovan Sadiq, the recovering Democrat. I just want to go over a little bit about the election there. And they got rid of my page. So I'm going to go back and see if I can set this thing back up. And I want to read this to you guys real quick. I don't want that. I want the news. There it is. Let me go back right over here for you guys real quick. Just give me a second. There we go. All right. Wait, let me make sure you guys can hear me because last time they cut my mic. So, okay, my mic is still good right here. So let's see what we got. All right. I hope I'm saying this right. Sudiban 49. If I'm saying that wrong, please forgive me. But let's just go over what they're talking about. I'm going to NPR to use as a reference. Houston mayor's race goes to a runoff election. And you see Sheila Jackson Lee and Mr. Whitmore. Both are Democrats. So people are saying, well, it doesn't matter. They're both Democrats. It was a Democratic sweeping last night. We don't care if it's a Democrat or Republican. Both parties uphold white supremacy. The problem is when you've got a black face that is holding up white supremacy, we have a really big problem. So anyway, let's get into it. Texas State Senator John Whitmer and U.S. Representative Sheila Jackson Lee are advancing to a runoff election for Houston mayor since neither cleared the 50% threshold. I believe Whitmer finished at 46% or maybe 43%, but you need 50% overall to avoid a runoff. And neither of them made the threshold, so the top two go on to the runoff. And I don't think it's looking good for Sheila Jackson Lee. You can throw all the money you want at it. It's still one person, one vote. Both stood out in a crowded field for their high level of name recognition. And that's what it comes down to, name recognition. The name you need to know. There's a movie starring Eddie Murphy called The Distinguished Gentleman. You guys watch that. That tells you exactly how politics today operates. And even when the movie was made, and it's still going on like that today. People universally vote for the name they know. It's amazing to me how people can tell you who the president is and maybe the governor, but they can't tell you who their alderman is or who their city council person is. What affects you is local politics, not the national politics. It takes a while for the national politics to trickle down and affect you. So name recognition, decades of public service, and in Whitmer's case, a prodigious campaign war chest that enabled him to blanket the airwaves with commercials. Jackson Lee is widely considered the more progressive of the two leading candidates. How is she progressive? What has she done that makes her progressive? So John Whitmer, 42.5 votes. He got 107,097 votes. Sheila Jackson Lee got 89,773 votes. Gilbert Garcia had 7%. Jack Christie got about 7%, and Lee Kaplan 2.6. So if any of the next two people's supporters swing to John Whitmer, Sheila Jackson Lee doesn't have a chance. The race was one of the most crowded and expensive in recent memory. 18 candidates vied to succeed Mayor Sylvester Turner, who is term limited. Among the other major names in the race were former Metro Chair Gilbert Garcia, Houston City Council member Robert Gallegos, former Houston City Council member Jack Christie, and Houston attorney Lee Kaplan. The campaign was mostly quiet, but that changed in October when audio of Jackson Lee cursing and berating her staff was leaked. And that kind of tells you how nasty she is and who she really is as a person. When you see these people out in public, they put on a public front. and usually they have staffers that kind of shield them so that you don't see the real person that they are. She then went on to say Whitmer operatives leaked the audio to the public the day before early voting began. Whitmer, during their final debate, said, "It is ridiculous to suggest I would want anyone to hear those words." And, you know, and like I said, it doesn't matter if he did or not. You've been in this business for 28 years, Miss Lee. Democrats are notorious for rigging elections. As a matter of fact, there's an election up in, it's in the northeast sector of the United States. And the mayor there was sent to prison for 9 years. He was a former felon before that for rigging the election. The court system, they have to do the whole election over. And I forgot what city that was. It was like Connecticut or one of those ones, but it's in the northeast sector. Top issues for voters. Polls were done throughout the campaign that determined most Houston residents feel the next mayor should make fighting crime a priority. Unfortunately, Democrats don't believe in fighting crime. What they believe in is gentrifying Black areas and bringing in migrants if they need to force the Black people out, and just gentrifying the area. Maxine Waters' district is pretty much gentrified. Almost more than half of her Black support has been gentrified out of the area in the means of a new LA Rams, LA Chargers stadium. Very, very sad. These Black representatives don't give a damn about the Black community. It is what it is. Jackson Lee said she would take an approach that focuses on embracing community-police relations and bringing more jobs to those in need. Generic. What are you going to do? Give us specifics. These Black politicians, they don't talk specifics because they don't have to. My plan includes analyzing the high crime areas of our city. Why do you need to analyze a city that looks like Beirut in the 1980s? That's just ridiculous. You don't need to study that. We don't need to study reparations to see the harm that slavery had on lineage-based Black Americans in the United States. You don't need to study that. Everybody knows the cruelty of slavery. But this is what Black politicians do. That's why I say Black politicians ain't shit. Targeting that area with our law enforcement. Of course, that will have police-community relationships. How many civilian police boards are effective? They have no power. There's no teeth. They can make a recommendation, and it's up to the police if they want to implement it or not. And in most cases, the police don't implement community-based boards anyway. So it won't be like we're targeting our neighbors, she said in an interview with Houston Public Media. But at the same time, I'm going to be working with the U.S. Department of Labor. I want more job training programs brought here. Please, please tell me a job program run by the United States government that ever benefited Black people. Affirmative action benefited white women more than anybody else. Second to white women, Latinos, and all the other groups. Black people are the least likely to benefit from government programs. Fact. My plan includes analyzing high crime, blah, 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 blah. She said in an interview with them, but at the same time, I'm going to work with the Department of Labor. I want more job training programs brought here. I want to make sure that we have a solid re-entry program. Why is it that when it comes to Black issues, the national government and the local governments thinks Black issues is crime, drugs, homelessness, and that's our only problems. And they don't know why those issues are a problem. But if you give us our reparations, that will solve a lot of our homeless issues, our education issues. We can open our own businesses and that will solve the job issues, and it would reduce crime. Why is it that people do crimes? Because of lack of opportunities in their community. They're in survival mode. Throughout the campaign, some people worried about Whitmer's pledge to bring 200 Texas Department of Public Safety troopers to assist the Houston Police Department. They would work under the direction of Chief Finner, who will tell you today they're already there. They're partners with their anti-gang task force, their narcotics division. Whitmer said in addition to manpower, the DPS has other resources that Houston police currently lack. Those include helicopters to reduce the threats posed by high-speed chases and an extra forensic lab that could cut the backlog in Houston's rape kit and ballistic analysis. It's not clear whether DPS forensics would be available for Houston police to use in cases not directly involving the DPS. So, again, it's just, I'm not saying it's just fluff or anything like that, but we keep getting the same rhetoric from our representatives. Suban says close enough. Sorry about it. Again, I apologize. I'm not really good with words. Maxine Waters and Clyburn need to be next. They already know where the crime is. If they wanted to, they could fix it quickly. They make too much money off of pharmaceuticals, the jail system, charities, and developers buying up Black neighborhoods. Exactly. Everybody is starting to see this pattern. Look at all the major cities. Where are the Black people going? Where are they moving the migrants? Now, maybe I'm just crazy, but wouldn't it make sense to move Spanish-speaking migrants near or in Spanish-speaking neighborhoods? Makes sense to me. Kind of a close culture. Language is all right. You know what I mean? But no, they're forcing them into the Black neighborhoods to move the Black people out and to disrupt the Black community. And that was a pattern they used here in LA to gentrify South Central Los Angeles. You disrupt the area. The movie Boys in the Hood, go back to the part where Lawrence Fishburne, furious, he was explaining gentrification to Trey and his friend, Morris Chestnut, let me say. He was explaining that. And that is the exact same pattern developers use in cities when they want a certain area. This isn't rocket science. And younger generations, Gen Y and millennials, they're seeing it. They're seeing the pattern. And I get it. Why change something if it works? So until we start pushing back as people, as a community, they're going to continue to do it. We have to start teaching our people financial literacy. Do you guys realize those little matchbox homes that those people were forced out of go for over $1 million now? The median income in California is $800,000 a house. That's the median for a house. Doesn't mean every house is $800,000, but the median in California is $800,000 a house. Think about this. An average blue collar Joe trucker, or truckers make a lot of money, Joe Sixpack, his houses could be worth almost $1 million for the average person. $800,000. Unfortunately, in the 90s, a lot of Black people sold Big Mama's house for $350,000 because they had never seen money like that before. And then they moved out to the desert where I live, bringing their LA mentality with them and wreaking havoc in my city. But then $340,000 for the home that Big Mama that you sold, what can you buy if the median home in California is $800,000? So thus you see those very people that wreaked havoc in my city have now moved on to Texas, have now moved on to Florida, have now moved on into Atlanta, because that money isn't what it was when they should have held on to that property. We need to start teaching financial literacy. We need to start teaching Black people, hold on to what you got. Yes, a lot of people were forced to sell by public domaining. But where was Maxine Waters when the public domaining was happening unfairly? Because not everybody wanted to sell their properties. But she let it happen anyway. To build a stadium for tickets that Joe Sixpack, average guy, can't even afford to go to. You can't even afford to go to the stadium that is probably 3 blocks from your house. You can't afford a ticket. Part-time jobs, seasonal jobs. That's what they brought. But if you go to city council meetings, they'll say, oh, the stadium's going to bring all these jobs. This is what the developer always does. I'm going to bring all these jobs, and it's going to be, but what they're not telling you, they're part-time jobs. They're seasonal jobs. There's no benefits to them. There's no health care with them. You can't retire off of those jobs. And people fell for that. Now you got warehouses just zoned anywhere in the community. The good thing about my city is we screwed up this city so badly with LA mentality type people that you have warehouses in residential areas. That's how ignorant the people sitting on the dais representing the city allowed. It's one thing if you plan warehouses in a certain area, but no, you could have an $800,000 home and right across the street, they built a warehouse that now brings the value of your home down, and you probably will never, ever be able to sell it. And if you do sell it, you're going to sell it at a loss because nobody wants to hear trucks going up and down the street 24 hours a day doing what you're doing. That's what my city did. But the good thing is when I was fighting what we call WLC wars, it's called the World Logistics Center, and they're still going to build that. It's going to be the biggest warehouse in the United States, in my city. It's all over, but they're screaming and the hollering. And I put up a good fight, whatever the deal is. Okay, great. They got what they wanted. It is what it is. But the good thing is now, my city's built out. We have no more room to build any more warehouses. So, woo, it's over. But I'm going to show you how stupid our city council is, our city staff is. You built all these warehouses, but you don't have the infrastructure to support it. And what I mean by the infrastructure to support it is if you're going to bring warehouses and you're going to allow all of these transcontinental trucks to come here to pick up their loads and move the loads across the United States and back and whatever they're going to do, where the hell is your truck stop? Where's your truck transmission shops? Where is your truck tire shops? Where is the infrastructure to support the truck industry and the warehouse industry that we have in the city? So they put the cart before the horse. And this is what we were telling them. But it's all over now, but the screaming and the hollering. And yes, you got some people that said, well, I don't want to live in a warehouse city, so I'm going to move. And then they move, and the warehouses eventually follow them there. And you're back at it all over again. That's why I tell people, especially if you're an older person, you need to go to your city council meetings. And if you can't go to your city council meetings, most cities, you can watch it on the internet, YouTube. They've got a link on the city. There's a city app you can watch it. There's the city channel. There's usually a city channel where you can see what's going on. But they do this all the time. Beverly White says, that's terrible, Donovan. Yeah, but it's a true story. It's a true story. These dollar stores are taking over in Black neighborhoods where they are food deserts. They'll put them there instead of real markets. We really need co-op-owned markets collabed with Black farmers. Exactly. But why do they put them there? What does the dollar store food put out there? It isn't quality stuff, right? It's processed cheese. If you go to the freezer and you get even the frozen food there is like, yuck. You know what I mean? And they have some fruits there, but it's like the fruits don't last very long. If you don't eat them real quick, it's just terrible. So I'm glad you brought up the dollar stores and the 99-cent stores. I have a 99-cent store 3 blocks away from my house right now. I can get on my bike and go there and be back in 10 minutes, depending on what I'm doing. But the good thing is, everybody, one day the building will stop, and your hard-earned money and dreams is in the toilet. Because even though you paid $800,000, you're not going to get that. You're not going to get that at all. And it's just sad. Give me 1 second, you guys. What? My little cat is meowing, so I don't want to have him keep meowing and you guys be like, what the hell? You know, it's kind of like the chirping thing. I don't want to do that. So I'm bringing the gentrification up is because you look at these city council meetings and you might have a Black representative. And wait, let me show you guys. Let me show you. Come here. Come here, you go. Come here. Yeah, this is the guy right here. This is King George. The thing about King George was he was about to die. He was in my backyard and he looked really bad. I mean, his fur wasn't like this. It was like he was really dusty looking. And I fixed him up and stuff. And I come to find out he has a broken leg that never fixed right. So, I took him to the vet and they said he can live with it. It wouldn't make sense to break his leg and try to set it at this point. And he's been sticking to me close ever since. I can't go use the bathroom without him wanting to come and be near me. But yes, I'm an animal lover. I love animals and stuff. But this guy here, he is a wildcat. If you look at his markings and stuff, he has these. There you go, up there. He has the what do you call those markings? I forget. They're not tiger stripes, but you guys see the real funny markings. But he has those. But he's a really good cat, and his bottom leg is broke. It's this leg right here. So I'm always really gentle with him when I see him. But when I'm doing videos, he likes to come in here and sleep behind the green screen. And all the other cats, they detect that he has a defect, and they always pick on him. So that's King George. I named him George, and I spoil him. I do. He's fixed. I got him fixed and everything. So he's. My animals have a better medical than I do. Their medical insurance is better than what I have. So, but the reason why I'm bringing this up, Sheila Jackson Lee, these black politicians, and all this other stuff, they sat by and let all of this happen, knowing that they represent that area they're supposed to protect and look out for us. Look what's going on in Chicago with Brandon Johnson. But don't be mistaken, you guys. What's happening in Chicago isn't a Brandon Johnson problem. It is a Democratic problem. We are being attacked by the Democratic Party. There's no way you can say we're not. There's no way you can say we're not. So, I'm trying to get people to logically put 2 and 2 together so you can see strategically what the Democratic Party's agenda is and what they're going to do. We got to stop telling ourselves, oh, if we don't do this, we're going to be a permanent underclass. We are already a permanent underclass. That's a fact. We get no assistance, but you could be an illegal migrant and break these laws, and you get all the assistance you want. Are you guys aware a lot of the migrants that are getting stipend by your tax dollars, stipend money, they are sending that money back to Venezuela for their family members to make the trek up here. So we're paying for this. And I'm trying to tell people the United States sanctions on Venezuela is fueling this migration of these Venezuelans. That is why they're coming here, because of the sanctions we've put on them. Zimbabwe had sanctions on them for decades by the United States. If we would raise the sanctions, these people have oil. They're a rich country. They wouldn't leave. But we have put sanctions on them. We've got to look at the big picture here. We've got to look at the big picture. Facts not feeling. Good to see you on this side. I'm not going to be too long. I want to keep you guys too long. So if we put the pieces together, yes, the Houston election race, there's 2 Democrats. But in my eyes, a person of Sheila Jackson Lee's so-called stature, she should have blown that out of the water. Straight out. Name recognition. The name you know. Name recognition. That's what we're talking about. These Democrats are on the run. And what I'm saying is, I'm not saying everybody's bad or whatever, but you're supposed to take care of your own first. In our community, we have black people that we elect that don't give a damn about us, and we shouldn't just let them arbitrarily sit in a seat that they think is theirs. If they're not doing the job, we need to get rid of them and bring up the next person, and so on. And we need to do that at every level, every level. The Democratic Party is directly attacking black people. Well, how are we going to get reparations? Who's going to pay for it? It's going to bankrupt the country. How much money have you given to Ukraine? No study. Overnight, $108 billion authorized by Congress. So that means Maxine Waters and Sheila Jackson Lee overnight. But Black people, we can't get qualified immunity. We can't get a crime bill. We can't get the 1994-95 crime bill repealed. Because you guys do know that crime bill that Joe Biden authored incentivizes police departments to incarcerate Black people and brown people too. And that's another thing. We got to stop talking about people of color. Stop saying that, okay? Stop saying that. Because when you say people of color, it waters down our struggle, okay? We got to stop saying that. So I want you guys to start reading the tea leaves at what is happening here. Stop deluding yourself that, oh, well, you know, we're doing great and everything's fine, and at least we're not them. If these illegal migrants start having babies here, and they're doing it, guess what? They've anchored themselves here to the United States, and they don't have to go back because their children are American citizens. They're doing it in a reverse way. And that means those children will outnumber and outpace your children. We won't have a chance. This is a direct attack by the Democratic Party. Moni says, I will not be voting none of the crooks ever again. I'm sitting out all the way. And that's smart. If none of these people have anything to offer you, sit out. I'm Donovan, and I want to just clarify this for you guys. It is not smart to not vote for the Democrats. And I can understand why you won't vote for the Democrats and give your vote to the Republicans. They both work for white supremacy, right? Unless, of course, you're doing a punitive voting action to spite the Democratic Party. That's what I'm going to do. Just this one time. I'm going to spite them because I want them to lose big and, you know, and whatever. Because both of these parties don't give a damn about us. So we shouldn't reward one party over the other. So the smart thing to do is to sit out. If you don't want, you know, if none of these people are offering you anything that you got to, you know, that you want. Facts, not feelings. Donovan, I have always said it. The current crop of Black leaders are like dictators overseas. They will not do anything for their people, and Black leaders will not do anything for Blacks. Exactly. You know, facts, not feelings. I always ask myself, where are our young, dynamic, unapologetic representatives? When I do see the young Black representatives, they're usually young Black females, and they talk the Democratic rhetoric. That's usually what I see. And I'm not just like trying to single out, you know, women, but let's be real. For some reason, these women get out there, they do their little sound bites, and they cape for the Democratic Party hard, you know? So Yanni says, exactly. According to the Brother Phil podcast, this facts, not feelings, in one generation or less, Blacks in Chicago will have no political power. He is right on the money. You know, when the migrants first started coming up there to Chicago, I said, even in the election of Brandon Johnson, he's going to be a one-term mayor, and the next mayor is going to be Hispanic. Put your money on that. Put your brain behind that. Think about it. He's going to be a one-term mayor. And I saw that coming because in the election, if you saw the election, the second person that came in second was a Hispanic guy. And there was a little question about the election, you know, maybe some votes here and there. And he conceded. He said, okay, you know, we'll let you have this one. I know the next mayor of Chicago will be and Hispanic. And look how Brandon Johnson keeps giving the bag to all these Hispanic people that won't vote for him in the next election. He's giving, you know, jobs to all of them and all this money and stuff. It's just sad. Facts, not feelings. Black older leaders keep young people out. You know, facts, not feelings. Remember when we were coming up, our parents were part of lodges and, you know, groups and stuff, and they had their little clubs, you know, maybe their little card club. They played some bid whiz on the weekends, and they had their little, you know, camaraderie, right? I used to be a member. Well, I still am a member. I'm just not an active member of the Tuskegee Airmen, right? Because I'm a legacy. I'm one of the youngest in the group. And the group is dying out. We used to have a chapter here in my city, but the people that were running it, you don't have to be a pilot or anything to be in it. But the fact of the matter is, you have people that are pilots and are Black and we're younger and stuff like this. We have better ideas. They didn't want to hear anything we had to say. So a lot of us young people just left. We just didn't do it. And now you're seeing all these organizations dying out. And you'll see these older people reaching out to us to join this and join. Oh, y'all should be a part of this. You need to come be a part of the VFW. You need to do all this other stuff. Why? We get there, we're unwelcome, we're not treated well. It's just a bunch of bullshit. And so these things die out. It's kind of like the club scene. You remember when you used to, when we were younger, you used to go to a club, especially here in California, and you used to really, go and have a really good time. But now these young people coming in there shooting up the club and stuff, and you can't really go and have a good time. These things are just closing and closing. And so you have these young people that are coming up now that don't experience things that they're supposed to experience. Like when I hear especially our young Black queens, princesses, whatever you want to call them, some thoughts, some hype, some grapes, some strawberries, whatever you want to call them. When they say, well, I'm not going to the prom. And I look at them like, you got to go to the prom because that's a once in a lifetime opportunity. It ain't like you could just do it later on, down the line. But this is the kind of stuff that's been put in their mind, that it's not important. Military balls, because I'm in the military. I was in the military. I love going to military balls. I get, women that want to go with me all the time because, when I get dressed up, I got medals way up here and I got my wings. And I mean, I look official, right? And then, I'm a hero, whatever the deal is. At least I think I am. And so women want to go. They all want to go to the ball because there's not really a lot of activities to do, like galas and stuff to do. And I would tell them, I can't take you. If you got tattoos all up in your neck, on your arm, and sleeved up, and I was a major in the military. I can't take you. I can't take you because you're a reflection of me. And I don't want people looking at me like, what the hell he got right there? So ladies, be very selective where you put your tattoos. I mean, I know it's all cute and stuff, whatever, but I'm telling you, there's nothing more embarrassing. And when you're in the receiving line, and I know a lot of you guys know what a receiving line is because you guys have some etiquette in class. You've been through it. For those of you that don't know what a receiving line is, right? When you go to a gala or a ball, the receiving line is where all the high dignitaries and people are, and you go through the line and you shake their hand and you meet them and you introduce yourself and you keep going on and you introduce your date and you go on to every faction. And in the military, you might have the general, congressional people, the president. If you go to the White House or a White House ball, there's a receiving line. And you go through the receiving line and, there's like all this protocol. And it's amazing to me that when I see these young people, they don't even know what you're talking about. It's just crazy. It's a crazy thing. So let me read some of these things. They're running Chicago like Los Angeles. One day it will be Tent City. Exactly. And Karen Bass, who was a congressional member, which is what Sheila Jackson Lee is trying to do. She's trying to retire from Congress and get another pension from the city of Houston. How much money do you need? Karen Bass was married to a Hispanic. The only reason Karen Bass won, because remember, Karen Bass also went to a runoff as well here in Los Angeles. The only reason she won is because she had a Hispanic husband that helped garner her the Hispanic vote. Go back and look at her election. She told the Hispanics what she was going to give them. Didn't say a damn thing for the Black people. Facts, not feelings. Yeah. Yep, exactly what happened to many organizations. It's just sad, and the organizations are dying out. Sudiban says, too much gatekeeping. That is why younger people don't want to be a part of a lot of these groups. Yeah, people want to hold on these titles for 30 and 40. I ain't got to tell y'all. Y'all already know. My girl, Moni, I'm going to give this in two parts, my brown sugar boo Donovan. Rashada Tlaib represents my area as a U.S. Congresswoman. I asked her last year, October, to introduce a bill to lower cosmetology barber school. I kind of know where you're going with that. And Facts Not Feelings is laughing. That's right. No tattoo women formed against me. No way. No tattoos. She asked her to lower the clock hours for cosmetology and barbering school, and she lied and said that she would make fun of my new jacket instead of focusing on the bill. She promised to pass. Liar. Yeah, but Moni, here's the thing though, and that's sad that she did that, sweetheart. But Tlaib is a congresswoman. She really doesn't have power to do anything at the local level. She deals with federal issues and like barber's licensing and stuff like that. That's like a school, right? So that's mandated to the states and the local municipalities. So you would have to go to the county supervisors or those type of people. When you're dealing with congressional people, that is all federal. They don't have anything to do with local. The only thing they have to do with local, and their main job is this. If you're elected to Congress, yeah, you represent this area here or whatever, but your job is to bring federal funding to your area. Your senators, their job is to bring federal funding to the states. So that's why when it comes to like defense contracting and manufacturing and stuff like that, that is why, that's their thing. They're like, okay, hey, we brought a $3 billion Boeing contract to Seattle, Washington. If you're a senator from there, that's what you're supposed to do. That keeps the jobs rolling. So it's kind of like a downhill effect that keeps things going. So, we got to know where to go when we want certain things done. And that's why I think, what's his name? The Indian guy that's running for president. One of his good ideas was we need to have people in high school pass the civics test. Why do you think they don't really push civics and government until it's about time to graduate? You got to have government before you can leave high school, whatever. But they don't really go into it because they don't really want people to know their rights. They really don't want people to know what's going on. What you do. Like you guys see me arguing with Demetra about this and that. You guys know that I go out here and I got assaulted and the cop was going to arrest me and was using her authority, and I just started using the law against her because I knew what I was doing, and I ended up winning. You know what I mean, in my situation. So because I knew the law, I knew my rights. So stuff like that. Michael says, Donovan, I need to debate you head on because you are too strong for president. I still support you for fighting for cash payment reparations for ADOS. Yes, but you know what, Michael? I am too old at 53 years old to be doing any of that. So I would support you and help you get the resources and the connections so that you could go and fight those fights because you have the youth, you have the face, because no longer is the older generation like I'm a part of is the majority. Generation Y and the millennials, you guys are the majority as a whole. You guys really dictate what's going on. What would a millennial look like voting for me when we have absolutely nothing in common? I don't even listen to the music that these kids listen to. Typhoid Red or whatever, Pound Town. I still have not heard the song. I've heard parts of the song. I don't know what's going on because I'm not interested. So, and that's another a thing you can use. You can always use front people to do agendas. You know what I mean? To do agendas. So let's be real, Michael. If you were running for office, I'm going to lobby you and I'm going to say, okay, look, there's a $50,000 dinner thing I'm going to do for your reelection. So guess what you're going to fight for if you take me up on the offer? And that's where the lobbyists come in. So that's why, I tell people all the time, these representatives, they don't sit in their offices and, hey, I think we should do this law and I think I should do that law. Do you know who write the laws? The lobbyists. That's who write the law. That's what I'm saying. We got to know this stuff, but they don't want us to know this stuff. The lobbyists are the ones that write the laws and they write the checks. And that's who congressmen listen to. Are you guys aware senators and elected officials in Congress spend half of their time raising money for their reelection? So out of 2 years in office, in a term, half of that time, they're meeting with donors, they're meeting with lobbyists, they're raising money. They're on the phone raising money. That's what they do. Facts, not feelings. I mean, oh, you guys are talking. Other countries don't have this confrontational politics. In those countries, men and women are more equal than women in America. Yeah. Moni said the jealousy of the old versus the young. This is in the Willie Lynch letter that was written well over 500 years ago. I predict it will probably go back to what Mayor and I think that would be better. Yeah. Sudan says, right. The lobbyists have been running this country for a long time. Money. Jeff Bezos. Okay, look. For those of you guys that know, you guys remember Theodore Roosevelt, right? Republican. Theodore Roosevelt, a Republican. No. Yeah, he was a Republican. And then he became an independent. Theodore Roosevelt. He was a trust buster. He was breaking up all these monopolies, the steel monopolies, the water monopolies, the railroad monopolies. Remember that? Amazon. They have their own logistics. They have their own trucking. They have their own airplanes. They basically control all of the online crap that's going on, whatever. They're the biggest thing in the world, right? Where is anybody fighting this trust? They have too much influence. Disneyland. They own all of the studios. Where is the safeguards to put in competition? When there's more competition, prices go down because people are going to say, well, I can't afford this, so I'm going to go get this. But when you're the biggest beast in the lake, you set the price. All these mergers that are happening, none of this stuff should be going on, but we're not paying attention as people. And these people, 73 years old or 72 years old, Sheila Jackson Lee, why are you still in? Donald Trump, you're 78 years old. Why are you still? You should be enjoying the rest of the life that you have left. Where are our young people? And I know it's not you guys' fault because they keep the younger people out. These, just like Dianne Feinstein, she's going to die in office. She wasn't going to leave. She said no matter what was happening to her, she was not going to leave. And look how she left, in a pine box. Donovan, I don't want you to be president because I know that you would cut government programs for many Americans. I understand about fighting and supporting for cash payment reparations for ADOS. Well, here's the good thing about our system, Michael, and this is why Black people don't get anything and whatever. And I was talking to somebody on Demetria's show earlier in the comments. When the Democrats under Nancy Pelosi had the House, they passed a shitload of bills, right? In the House. It was just passing them. Yeah, pass it. Now, my problem with that is they didn't pass the HR study. I was like, well, it's not going to get past the Senate, so just do it symbolically. They didn't even do it symbolically. But that's how our system is set up. It's set up to fail. They're not going to do anything. They're going to go out there in front of the microphones. Oh, well, Mitch McConnell won't do this, and he just won't pass it. And they make all these excuses why nothing can get done. But notice when it's in their interest, we're about to go to war. The Boeing and Lockheed and all these people need more money. Oh, great, because they write me a big check every year. Oh, the pharmaceuticals. Oh, yeah, we could pass all of that. Or they make excuses when they have control of all of Congress. Well, the filibuster rule, which isn't a law, we can't pass that because of the filibuster, and we fall for this crap every time. I would have fired every one of those people. And so if I was president, I really would not have the power to cut anything. Because let's just say hypothetically, I did want to veto it, right? Let's say I want to cut out welfare, and both sides just raise up and say, no, you're not going to do that. All they need is 3/4 of a vote to override my veto. And that's how it's going to go. So no matter what I try, if they really wanted to put me in my place, there's a mechanism to do it. So, yeah, I mean, look, I'm not against anybody getting their beak wet, as they say in the mafia. The problem is these new mafia people, they're not leaving nothing for anybody. They're just enriching themselves. Please explain to me how Maxine Waters, who represents South Central Los Angeles, lives in Pacific Palisades. That's where Dr. Dre and Kim Kardashian and all these people live. She's just a congresswoman. How does she have money to live over there? And then look at her district. Look at all of these congresswomen people. They're 96% of members of Congress are millionaires at minimum. But we allow this because we vote party, not issue. We vote party. Yvonne says, we have 6 congressional members, 1 Dem, 5 Republicans. I'm leaning how different our laws are compared to the rest of America. Napoleonic laws that support old Jim Crow laws. Yeah, Louisiana, right, Yanni? But I do like Louisiana's Napoleonic laws for, how they were set up originally in regards to the system. But of course, they rearrange it for white supremacy. But that's why, Yanni, I always say, because I was born in Louisiana, I always say Louisiana because I know what you're talking about when it comes to stuff like that. So it's just crazy. Moni says, let's look at how representatives like John Conyers, John Lewis, and a few others had to die in the seats. John Conyers did a lot in the 60s, but I can honestly say outside of introducing MLK Day. Exactly. Once all the black leaders in the 60s were paid off or killed, nothing has moved the ball forward since. And they can't say the ball has moved forward. I argue with my mom all the time. I mean, my mom's going to defend her generation and what they've done, and nobody's taking anything away from them. But like I tell you guys, nobody benefited from the civil rights era than the people who fought in the civil rights era. I haven't benefited. Well, I've benefited in the sense that my parents taught me what they were taught. So let's say there was no civil rights era. My parents raised me the way they were raised. So I was raised to be self-sufficient. Not living off the government, not expecting that from the government. It's like I'm out here by myself. So that's how I was raised. But we have 2 or 3 generations now that have been raised with some form of government assistance to move forward. And as we say all the time, the same person that feeds you or houses you is the same person that can starve you. So it's just things like that that kind of get to me. My mom just sent me a message just now. She was just cursing me out, by the way. So my mom looks at me and wonders what monster did she unleash on the world sometimes. Because she's like, I don't know where you get your thoughts. I don't know what, whatever it is. But, it's all good. Like I said, I don't have one of those mothers that, oh, that's my baby, and no matter what he does, I'm going to love him regardless. I'm not going to say nothing. My mom will tell me the business, and me and my mom are like this. We just butt heads, because I'm an alpha male, and she's a, dominant female, and she raised boys. So, and then she was in the Army. So my mom was very, solid in what she means. Tawana says, Democrats in Illinois constantly use the courts to kick people off the ballot. Yeah. They will not let someone who is not connected run for office. We have the same problem here, and that's why I am saying this. I do not believe the national election was stolen, but at the local levels, the Democrats are notorious for stealing elections. There's one just in the northeast of the United States, in a city, a major city in, God, was it Rhode Island? It's one of those small cities. The mayor just got 9 years, and the court thing happened today. And isn't it funny how they don't like blow it up in the news, these scandals? But yeah, the Democrats are notorious for getting caught in these scandals. Michael says, Donovan, I know someone who was on welfare. If you cut welfare, then you cut me off as well. I know someone with a disability is on welfare. You might want to be careful about cutting welfare benefits. Well, here's the thing. I'm not against cutting welfare benefits. Michael, are you aware that over 80% of military members are eligible for food stamps? 80% of the military is eligible, okay? So what I'm for this, I am for a social safety net. I am not for making welfare a lifestyle. So if a woman is got 2 children and she's been on it for like 5 years and she still hasn't got her shit together, you got to go. You got to go. You know, I mean, there's got to be a time where you can't. It shouldn't be made a lifestyle. That's what I'm saying. And again, I'm a firm believer. If Michael, you can show me a program run by the United States government that has been successful for Black people, then I might change my mind. But again, most programs that Black people are on in the United States is detrimental to us as a people. Moni says, so what I mean, Donovan, Rashid started off as a state representative and senator. Yeah, okay, but did you go to her as a state representative? Because even as a state representative, she's not really in control of, you know, that area. She's supposed to, okay, let's break it down. She's a state representative, right? So she goes to the capital of your state, and from there, just like the federal guys do, she moves the money down to the local municipality. That's how it works. So if I'm a senator or a congressman, I send the money to your state. Then those state senators and representatives go to the capital, and then, you know, that's how it's set up, and it moves that way. So she really doesn't have any power at the local level. That's why you have mayors, you have supervisors, and it goes to the next level. You see what I'm saying? So where you're at as a citizen, then you have a mayor. Then from your mayor, you have a county supervisor, right? That county supervisor, that's the local level that deals with your everyday problems. Now, your representative, your state assembly or whatever, that's different. They go up there and get the money, but that's why you don't see state senators at city council meetings. You don't see them there, you know, and if you do, every now and then they'll come, but they don't have any power. See, so it's just it's a mass confusion, hard luck way of delaying money and helping people, the way the system is set up. That's why people are worried about Donald Trump becoming a dictator. Now, okay, I'll give you a better example. The Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Do you guys ever wonder, why is it that these Middle Eastern people come here and they could immediately set up businesses? Do you guys realize that if you're a citizen of Saudi Arabia, you get a stipend of like $100,000 a year? Everybody in your family gets a certain amount of money, right? Every year. You have no rights, okay? You're under the kingdom. The kingdom provides your health care, your food. I mean, you know, that's why they give you the stipend. They're providing everything, but they don't want no shit from you guys. You see what I'm saying? So when those people decide to migrate to the United States, what do they migrate here with? A lot of money. And guess where they set up their businesses? In the Black community. Some of them go to Beverly Hills because they go into the diamonds or, you know, something exotic. They've got the cars or whatever. You guys ever wonder why those people have all that money? Regular guys you would think is whatever. They lived in a kingdom where everything was provided. So that's just Saudi Arabia. The other Middle Eastern things have different situations, but it's pretty much the same thing, right? So I don't want to take too much to you guys' time because I got to go get my chicken. Yanni says, yes. Michael says, Donovan, you contradict yourself on government programs for all Americans while fighting for cash payment reparations for ADOS. No, it's not that I contradict myself. What I'm saying is I don't care about other people's situation. They can do what they want. The Asian community is going to be fine. The white community is going to be fine. The Hispanic community is going to be fine. I'm worried about my community first. I have to take care of myself before I worry about anybody else. A good analogy would be this. How many times have you guys flown on an airplane, and what's the first thing that the stewardess tells you? You got to put your mask on before you can help anybody else. Because when that plane depressurizes, there's no air up there, whatever, you're going to be unconscious. You only have seconds to put that mask on or whatever. So if I have a child, I can't help my child if I'm unconscious. So it's the same thing in life. I can't worry about what the Hispanics are doing. I can call out. Like I said, I'm not mad at them for getting a bag. I'm mad at the fact that I'm a citizen and I can't get anything. Or my fellow citizens are homeless in the streets and we can't solve homelessness for fellow people. And these other people are coming up here who can't vote, who don't pay taxes, ain't done shit. They get everything. A good example, we can give all this money to Ukraine and all this stuff. But like you said, Michael, we have people that are on welfare. Okay, let's take that money that we would give to these people with an open checkbook. Let's just give everybody a house. Let's give them the money so they can buy their own houses. Wouldn't that solve the homeless issue? Wouldn't that solve the food issue? You give them their stipend of their money, just like these kingdoms in Saudi Arabia and stuff, and let them solve their own problems. Show me a government program that is successful for the individual. Show me. You got women right now that are upset that they don't have the right to kill their own babies. They don't have the right to kill their own babies. And I agree. The government should not be dictating to citizens what they should be doing with their bodies. Now, I'm pro-life, but that's me. I'm not a woman, so my situation is totally different, right? So that's what we got to get back to. Self-reliance. We're too dependent on the government. Now, I know, Michael, you're going to say, well, that's contradictory because you're asking for reparations. Well, it's really not. I'm asking for my pay, or my dad's pay, or my grandfather's pay. If I leave a job and I did the work for the week, I just want my pay. What was due to me? If my dad died on the job and he had a check coming to him, I want what's coming to my family. That's what I want. But I don't think government is the solution to Black people's problems. We have to get back to self-reliance. So that's just my stance on it. Yeah, Moni says she started off as a state representative. Yeah, that's the process. The state senator, then she became a congresswoman. Keep in mind, I've known her for years personally, and she's always been a liar. Now she's been lying sanctioned by Congress. Yeah, well, what politician isn't a liar? You know, that's the game. And see, that's the thing, Moni. You know that she's been a liar, so why even entertain thinking she's going to do anything? You know, but notice she's fighting for the Palestinians, people that aren't her constituents. It's her people, it's her lineage, but she's out there on the news saying this ain't right, this is that. She's fighting hard for people that aren't even here in the United States that voted her into office. Isn't that crazy? Isn't that crazy? And everybody, oh yeah, and don't get me wrong, I support the Palestinians. I don't believe in genocide. I don't believe in genocide. What happened to the Israelis is horrific. I just do not think you exterminate a bunch of people that you don't know if they had anything to do with it or not. So that's my stance. But again, Moni, that's a good point that you brought out. Notice how she is caping hard for Palestinians. Because cosmetology and barbering school both receive federal funds and Pell Grants and loans, she could have introduced that with Michigan alone, and it could have went through, but she's a lie. Well, no, she actually couldn't. She doesn't have the power to introduce anything like that. What she would have to do is, if the federal government has given, let's say, a grant of school money, right? Her job is to notify the state senators and the state representatives that this money is available. And then her job is done. And then your state senators from that point take it from there to write the proper grant or whatever to get the federal funding. Michael, did I receive your email on 1024? I did. About, yeah, I read it. I got it. I sure did. I've been busy, but yeah, I read it. So don't think that I don't. Mike, whenever you send me stuff, I do read it. I might not respond to it, but I do read it because I stay up late at night. Moni, I support you always, my gorgeous brown sugar, Jonathan. Please start doing more lives. I would love to really be your biggest Detroit fan. I think you would be good as a city councilman. Yes, but I'm not interested in politics because you know what? At 53 years old, I don't know how much longer I have on this earth, and I do not want to be stressed. Do you guys realize I retired from the military in 2012? I've never worked a job since. I am literally a free Black man walking the earth. And I'm sorry, peace of mind is worth, to me, way more than that. I mean, I would rather do that. There's no amount of money. Well, I do have a price. People want me to come back to work, but it's a big price. But I'm telling you, to wake up every day or every month and knowing that I have a guaranteed pension that comes into and I don't have to do anything. And I don't feel bad, but I make more in my sleep than people do going to work 40 hours a week in a month. But I put the work in at a younger age. Again, I'm a victim of the child support system. I always worked a second job when I was in the military. People are like, why are you doing this? Why are you doing this? Because I screwed up and I'm in the child support system with my first child and I have responsibilities. See, so that goes back to what I was telling you guys about how my mom raised me. My mom and dad raised me like they were raised. No excuses. I can't have any. I'm a man. Go out there and get it the best way I could. And so I went and got it, you know what I mean? And then, looking back on it now, and here's the funny thing, even though I was a victim of child support, fellas, you got to look at it like this. Yeah, it is your child, so at least you're doing what the government tells you or whatever. So, you got to take care of your responsibilities. But here's the funny thing, fellas. And it's almost like a revenge thing. It kind of works itself out. For 18 years or whatever it is now, my contract with my first son was only 18 years. My second son, because I learned from my first son being put in the system, I wasn't going to go through that hell again. So I had a fair woman and we worked it out and paid her well. I was so used to not getting child support. You know what I mean? That money, after getting just getting it taken. Just getting that child support taken, right? You're just so used to not having it. I'm working this fucking job or whatever. I'm looking at my son getting older. Oh, he's about to graduate high school. One day, I looked at my bank account and something was wrong. And I couldn't figure it out. So I called DFAS, which is the military pay system. And I said, wait, because I didn't want, to spend the money or something's wrong and then I get penalized for it, right? Because I know a lot of people, I'm going to take this money and spend it before they find out. They're always going to find out. I called DFAS and I said, hey, something's wrong. There's, this money in my check. And, and I had been overseas, so I wasn't paying attention. So like 2 or 3 months, this money had built up. And I was like, something wrong. And they go, I had them look over it. And they were like, no, everything's here. I said, but something's not right. I said, I don't see my child support being taken out. They go, your child support is over. I was like, what? Because I had forgotten. The child support is over. So that money that I was paying all the time came back to me, starting to me, because my son is now grown. I don't have to pay it anymore, right? But here's the caveat, fellas. His mother was so used to getting that money, now it was gone. And this witch took me back to court to try to make me continue to pay it. And I won because our agreement said I had to pay child support and medical and all that stuff up until he was 18. And the judge looked at me and he said, Mr. Sadiq, do you want to continue to pay your this child support, whatever the deal is, and alter the agreement? No, Judge, I don't want to do that. I suffered long enough in my eyes. So fellas, yeah, it kind of sucks. We have to go through this if that's your situation. But in the end, that woman, if she is not planning for the future, it comes back on her. And this woman was so damn bold. She would call me and she'd be like, well, do you think that maybe I could, or maybe I was like, no, nothing. Because when I was suffering and when I wasn't eating, you didn't give a damn. And so now here she is. And I hate to say this, but I'm just going to tell you the truth. It's public record. She ended up losing her house. Yeah, I mean, she went through some bad shit, but I know she ended up losing her house. I know some of you people are going to say, oh, well, Donovan, your child, my son was grown. So no, it wasn't a child. And now she had another child with another dude, but that ain't my problem. He needs to go get it out of the mud with his child. But I know the house that they had occupied, she ended up losing that house because she had not planned. She was so used to getting that money that when it stopped, it just messed her all up. So, and I had no bad feelings toward her, like, to be like mean or cruel, but no, I'm not going to continue to pay this. No, I'm not going to give you any money. I'm not going to. Could you maybe give me two? No, I'm not giving you anything. You go out and get in the mud like I did. So sometimes it does come back. Michael says there are successful welfare programs in Europe that help people to look for work. For example, yeah, no, Michael, you are absolutely right. I've been to all these other countries where the shit works. We're talking about America, though. We know it doesn't work here. That's what we gotta just accept the facts of what it is. So anyway, everybody, facts not feelings. They pay for everything there. Yeah, Sudaban knows that they pay for everything. Right? You have no rights, but they pay for everything. Moni, you are not too old to be a city council person, a mayor. No, I'm not even interested, Moni, in public service like that. I've done it. I've done what I could. And then as a civilian, my hands aren't as tied as when you're a politician. There's only certain things you can say. And, I'd rather be out here, dropping documents on them. Yeah, Michael says the Danish government sets limits for people to be on welfare for 18 months, which include attending a job training course. Yes, and do you know, I think it's in Switzerland or Sweden, if you worked at a job for 20 years and you're getting a pension from that job, once you retire from that job, any other job you get, the most you could ever get paid is a minimum wage. So let's say I'm a CEO and I'm getting $18 million and I retire from the job. If I go back to work, the most I can get paid is $18 or, minimum wage at that point. And they do that so that the younger people could feed their families and the jobs are available for the younger people because it's assumed you've retired, so you've got enough money for yourself. See, we don't use our common sense in America here. Watch the movie Gordon Gekko, Wall Street. Greed is good, and that's what America's about. That's what America's about. Show me a country where you can break their laws illegally and go into their country and nothing happens to you and they give you all these resources. Doesn't happen. Mexico's 90 miles from my house. Try to sneak into Mexico from here and see what happens to you. But the reverse, wide open. Come on in. Very sad. Yeah, facts not feeling. It's very important that foundational Black Americans get reparations in the form of cash. And that's the only way you can do it. I've got 12 degrees. I don't need an education, a free education. I've already paid for that. You've only given it in cash. That's it. Give us the cash. We can buy our own homes. We can feed ourselves. We can educate ourselves because we've got the money to do it. There's no government program that I've ran across that has ever been successful. So I'm getting to the bottom here. I'm really behind. Donovan, does this include free public higher education and advanced vocational training? Because you said I support free public higher education and advanced vocational training. You are ironic. Okay. When anything is free, it's not quality. So if the people want free, good for them. But I happen to know when it's free, it's not quality. We've got a free educational system here in the United States. How good is our free education? That's what we got to look at logically. Look at what's around us. We have free education in the United States, and most Black kids cannot read past the 6th grade. Is that what they're saying? The 6th grade? Free education, though. You get a free education. But see, a lot of that is because you don't have fathers in the home of Black people. Because you look at the other groups, especially the Asians, they don't have that problem. You know why? The parents are on the children about excellence and excelling, and they're participating in the success of their children. When you're a single mother out here and you're working 16 hours a day, how much time do you actually have to read to your child? I remember when I was growing up, my mom being a widow, she was just too tired to deal with my brother and me when it came to our homework. Good thing for me, I was pretty smart, book smart, and I would have to help my brother, my older brother, and we would help each other. Like he was stronger in some things and I was stronger in the other. We would help each other. See, so again, there's an old saying, if it's free, what's wrong with it? Good example. If a woman is out here on the blade and she's giving it up for free, would you take it? I wouldn't, because obviously she must be on her last leg, or what she's got between those legs is deadly when it's free. So, looking at it that way. Donovan, I'm not equating cash payment reparation with welfare programs. Cash payment reparations are separate from welfare programs. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. If I were ever president, and this is facts, not feelings, I would immediately sign an executive order to outlaw abortion, and the only exemption is rape or incest or risk to mother. Also to make every Black woman wear a hijab and a burqa. Facts, not feelings. Great minds think alike. Great minds think alike. And the reason why I am so into it in regards to our people is because we need to get our birth numbers up. It is estimated since the 1970s and the approval of Roe versus Wade, over 19 million Black babies have been aborted. That's just that's a low estimate is what they're saying. 19 million. So all the other groups have expanded, but they keep telling us on the census since the 1960s, Black people are only 13 to 14%. That doesn't make any sense. It's exactly my point. My love Moni says, when she gets on Twitter, I let her have it every time because she is a liar. What I expected is when she told me on tape recording, she promised that she was going to get this passed. Yeah. And, I'm not sure. You did say that she is in your area. So yeah, you can let her have it all day. Like I always talk about Maxine Waters, but she's not my representative. But I let her have it anyway, But keep in mind, Donovan, she needed a Black man to put her in office, which was John Conyers. Had it not been for that Black man, she would have never even gotten a chance to be elected. Glad to see her go, right? But John Conyers, he was the brother that did HR 40 originally, and he also was disgraced in a sex scandal, I think. I'm not trying to dog the man out. I'm just trying to remember his, legacy. And it's just so sad. And see, that's another thing. That's why we need term limits, because these people stay so long that the great legacy that they have is tarnished over years of doing absolutely nothing. Like John Lewis. He spent more time in Congress than he was a civil rights fighter. His record on civil rights, you can't touch that. But when he got into government, he didn't do shit for Black people. It blows my mind. It blows my mind. I hope they remove her from office as possible. She does nothing for the Michigan region, just those that are Arab. So a lot of this is coming out, and that's why people are not supporting her now. Liar. But Moni, if she's Palestinian, isn't that what she's supposed to do? Represent her people? Do you actually believe a certain group of people, just because it took Black votes to elect them, they're going to do anything for Black people? How long have they shown us this? They have no obligation to do anything for Black people. We have Mexicans that are taking over here in California, and my city is now pretty much predominantly Mexican. Do you think they give a damn when Black people get up there and complain about what we ain't got? It's majority rule. The average Hispanic family has 3.5 children. 3.5. And they have these children at young ages. 3.5. So every Hispanic girl is having at least 4 babies. 4 babies in her lifetime. How many babies are Black people having? Are Black women having? Some, and unfortunately, I would say the average woman that I've run across has at least 2. On average, 2. So if you go by that number, we're being outgunned just by the numbers. I retired in 2017. Tawana, yes, how does it feel? I know you're bored. You're thinking about going back to work. You want maybe something extra that you want to do. Just find something to go fishing. Go travel. You know what? This is a big country, Tawana. Just get in your car and just go driving. I know this sounds crazy, but I want to get on a Greyhound bus and just travel the Greyhound line. Take my time, got my tablet, just do my thing, People think that's crazy, but why not, right? Donovan, you said welfare should be for 5 years. If the people don't get off the system, they should be thrown out. I have a problem with that statement because if you say that, the jobs should T. Michael, let me finish your thing. The job should be available. Okay, but don't you think that jobs should be a living wage so that people don't have to continuously depend on welfare after 5 years? Absolutely. See, that's what I'm saying. We have the solutions. The solutions are there. They're. But the point is, if a person has been giving my tax dollars for 5 years and they're still in the original position from 5 years ago, that's not a government problem. That's a person problem. So we got to start bringing shame back to the community. That is a person problem. If they don't want better for themselves, fine, so be it. But after 5 years, a good example. If the government told me right now, Donovan, for 5 years, we're going to pay for all of your expenses, and not like for me to go to vacation and me to do that. I'm talking about, just for me to live. They're going to give me a free house. They're going to give me free education or training, some kind of training, free medical, right? And free food. Four things. And and a stipend, $1,000 a month, like Andrew Yang was saying. You give me a stipend. You mean to tell me after 5 years, I could not better my situation? After 5 years, I couldn't better my situation. That sounds like that's a personal problem, not a government problem, right? So again, we're getting kind of late here. I'm sorry, you guys. Amani says, Donovan, never forget about the Bible. It will always be rumors of wars. Now, many people may not like what I say, but the book of Deuteronomy 2:3 speaks directly about that particular culture of people. Yes, it does. I am a praying man. Michael says, let's see. Moni says, let me know again what other social media accounts so we all can support you, Donovan. Yes, absolutely. And Tawana says, that's sad. That's not feeling, give her a dime. We're almost at the bottom. Yay. I'm going to skip over a few things. We like you guys are talking to each other. Michael says, Donovan, I will consider your offer about ideas for running for office. Please contact me. Yep. In Europe, free public higher education is good. Yeah, but that's Europe. That's Europe. And guess what? In Europe, compare the Europeans versus the Black Europeans and the Black Africans. Because remember, Europe was there's a lot of colonization going on. The Blacks are pretty much like the Blacks here. They have to fight for the education to get it. You see what I'm saying? Those that want it will fight and do what they got to do for it, right? Just like there's a few of us here that do well. It's the same thing over there in Europe. White supremacy is global. It just is, So let me get down here. American education system is dependent on property tax. That is why there's a disparity in students' income outcome. In Europe, disparities are small, yeah. Donovan, well, you also got to remember too, Michael, who pays for a lot of these European countries' defense? The United States. So when you don't have to pay so much money of your GDP toward defense, where can that money go? It can go to better your schools. It can go to get better education, to pay teachers higher, things like that. America, we don't do that. We spend you guys realize we are the biggest spenders of defense in the world. This is another reason why our roads have potholes in them. We've got blight, because the military-industrial complex is taking all of the money away from resources that we could be paying teachers and all these other things that we could be doing. So let me get down here. Let's see, because I got to go do my thing. Yeah. Last but not least, facts not feelings. My take on the Palestinian issue is we Blacks must take a moral stance and speak out against the horrific things that we are all witnessing. Why? Because that can happen to us. Exactly. I believe Israel has a right to exist. I believe everybody has a right to exist. I do not believe Israel has a right to exterminate by genocide a group of people that they have no idea if they're innocent or if they're guilty. And what I'm seeing on the newsreels and all that other stuff is I'm seeing children being hurt and maimed. Did you guys see the interview on CNN with Wolf Blister when he asked the Israeli lieutenant colonel? Basically, he was saying, okay, you know that there's women and children in this building or whatever that you assume Hamas is in. And the guy was like, yeah, there might be women and children in there, but the Hamas militants are in the building and whatever. And Wolf Blitzer asked him, and you still bomb the building knowing that there's women, children, and old men in the building anyway? And the guy was like, no, he was kind of like caught like deer in the headlights. And then Wolf Blitzer asked him, did you kill the Hamas militant? You know what the guy said? I don't have any information on that. So again, you're destroying infrastructure that people need to live in. You don't know who is in that building. And as human beings, we're supposed to say, hey, 1,000 Israelis were murdered, which is horrific. But this whole group of people have to pay for it. 3,000 something Americans were murdered in 9/11. Do you guys know how many Iraqi and Afghanistani people were killed during the Second Gulf War? Now let's give a number. 3,000 Americans supposedly were killed. They're saying almost 300,000 civilians were killed as we retaliated. Look this stuff up. It doesn't make sense. Where's our humanity? I've got some friends, I stand behind Israel. That's fine. I stand behind Israel too. But not when they're doing fuckery. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. I am not going to, yeah, it might be 1 million. I was just lowballing it just to say whatever. But yeah, I've heard that I've heard that number too, 1 million people. Not to include the 7 trillion of our tax dollars that we spent building infrastructure up in the Middle East and all that, and just to walk out. Your tax dollars, $7 trillion could have been a down payment for reparations. $7 trillion could have got rid of student debt. $7 trillion could have solved the homeless crisis here in the United States. $7 trillion could have paid for universal health care. Then you add on the $3 trillion that Donald Rumsfeld said before the day before 9/11 that the Pentagon couldn't account for. I mean, people just listen to sound bites. Look up these facts. Michael says, Donovan, you will be satisfied that I would implement cash payment refunds. Yeah, Michael, if you ever became president, I know you would be a great one for the simple fact that you strategically think out and logically think out what is best for the people. Unfortunately, we don't have leaders that do that anymore. It's what they can do for themselves and their pockets and their donors. That's how it works today. Suban says, it is already happening to us. The thing is that the world ignores our injustice, but wants sympathy from us when they go through something. No, not condoning innocent people sowing, but we must put us first. Yeah. Donovan, you connected yourself on student loan debt. Well, here's my thing on student loan debt, Mike, and this is my statement on student loan debt. Nobody told you to go get a student loan. I'm going to go get a Maserati, right? I'm going to go get a loan. I want the American taxpayer to pay for it. Now, if they want some relief on student loan, I think that maybe as a taxpayer, we should pay the interest for them, but they need to pay that damn loan off. I do believe that. Nobody told you to get a loan. I didn't get a loan. One of the reasons I joined the military was so that I could finance my education. I didn't want to join the military. That was not my goal and my plan. But I did what I had to do to get where I wanted to be. And it just so happens I got stuck in the military. But no, I don't believe my tax dollars should cut you a break. Now, in my situation as a vet, if you served the country and you did something of that nature, some kind of volunteerism and stuff, damn right, your loan should be paid for. You're damn right. You're damn right, because you're paying for it in community service. You're damn right. Well, no, Michael. My stance is I believe that you went out and openly got a loan. Whoever did that, you went and done that. In regards to Black women, it is not my fault that 70% of Black women's degree is useless. That's not my fault. 70% of Black women's degrees is in the humanities. That is not my fault that they went and got a useless degree so that they can have some stupid ass title. That is not my fault. So yes, people that took out loans, which was an option, they need to pay those loans back. Because I'm not going to pay for your car when you go and finance a car. Well, why should I have to pay for it? Oh, so the next thing is these people go and get Fannie loans to buy their houses. Should we pay for that too? No, we shouldn't be doing that. We shouldn't be doing that. Now, I am going to say this. Moving forward, we've got to come up with a way to where education, higher education, is affordable to people. That's all. That's what we got to do, So let me get out of here, you guys. Again, it's getting late. No, yeah, Mike. No, I love the debate. I love the debate. Like I said, you're a pretty sharp guy. So, again, you would do great getting into politics. You have a passion for it. You're young enough to do it. I think you should pursue it. And one of the easiest ways to start getting into politics is to work on campaigns and, work your way through the system. You kind of start on a campaign, then you kind of become an aide or whatever, and you work and you get to know people and, do all that good stuff. You would be great with it. You would be great. But absolutely, the Sheila Jackson Lee thing for the Democrats, it is a writing on the wall. Hey, yeah, you won this, you won that, you won this. Just because you won all these elections, what are you going to do for the American people and the people that voted for you? That's what we have to measure everything by. We gave them the House, the Senate, and the presidency in 2020. Look at the country right now. Donovan Sadiq, you guys, I'm the recovering Democrat. You guys have a great night. I will see you guys next time. Moni, I know it's getting cold up in Detroit. Matter of fact, I was looking at a flight going back into the Dominican Republic, and there was a layover in Detroit Airport, and the layover was for like 2 hours, 2.5, 3 hours, or something like that. But it was Spirit. I don't fly Spirit, but the layover, it was one of those airlines, Frontier, one of those ones. And I was like, well, I should go up to Detroit, but nah, I'm not going to do that right now. But you guys have a good night. Pat yourselves on the back. Next year, the election is actually coming. The runoff for Houston mayor is going to be next month. So we're only a couple of weeks out to see what's going to happen. And I predict Sheila Jackson Lee will get blown out and embarrassed because she doesn't have a Hispanic husband like Karen Bass did to garner the Hispanic vote. All right, you guys have a good night. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Do not forget to check out Dimitri and I on Sundays, 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 5 p.m. Central Standard Time. Also, Philip Scott podcast. Tune into that. The brother's dropping some science. Also, the African Diaspora News Channel app. If you guys are interested, you could download the app there where we can chop it up and talk and say what we want, talk how we want. Go over there and check that out and become a member if you so desire, or at least tell other people about it if you guys get a chance. So I voted for Democrats. You got punk. No, vote your interest. If you're interested in the Democratic Party, that's great. Most of my friends have voted Democrat and they do their thing. I got half of my friends are Democrats, half of them are Republicans. I'm an independent. I'm an independent because I vote for both parties depending on what it is. But you guys have a great night. I thank you guys for tuning in because I know you guys could be doing other things. So we'll talk to you guys a little bit later. And if I tune up, something comes up, I will be as we're getting closer. Have you guys noticed as we're getting closer to the political season, I'm coming on here more and more and more because politics is my passion. You guys have a good night. We'll talk to you guys again.